Now, when the Senate acts, which hopefully they will do in the next couple of days, we will have a bill going to the President that will be the most important reform of the financial markets in more than 70, 80 years now. It has to be done. Otherwise, we're going to slip right back to where we were. This is not big government. This is wise government. This is the kind of government that we need to set the boundaries. Think of it this way, Mr. Ellison. NFL football. Now, you play that in Minnesota, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
What's that team in Minnesota? The Vikings?
Vikings.
And the Packers?
The Minnesota Vikings. And
I'm sorry. I know where you're
from. The Packers. They're next door.
Okay, the Packers. Well, and okay, we got the Packers playing the Vikings, okay? They do that on occasion,
We do that every year, yep. At least
it's quite a game. Imagine that if the sidelines were erased, and imagine if the referees were put back in the locker room.
Right.
What would happen?
I think you'd have a lot of injured players. You'd have a really funny outcome. People wouldn't trust the outcome. Maybe teams would stop playing because they would believe that the rules didn't matter anymore. And certainly you would give an incentive to the biggest cheap shot artists on the field. The people who are willing to do the dirtiest thing, the clipping, all of those things, they would prevail.
Now, I played football for the University of California in bygone era, and of course we would never engage in such a thing if the referees weren't there. But that's the analogy of exactly what happened in Wall Street. The regulators were absent. During the Bush administration, they simply left the playing field. The referees left the playing field. They put the rule books aside, and it was Katie bar the door because anything was allowed. This bill that we voted on today puts tough new regulations in place, regulates this market, and puts in place the referees, strengthens the Securities Exchange Commission. Mr. Ellison, please.
Well, I was just going to say, as an old football player yourself, I mean, didn't good refereeing make for a more competitive game? Didn't that allow competition to really flourish? You could find out who the better team was if you had a well-regulated football game. Is that right?
Absolutely true. And similarly, a well-regulated financial market, which we will when this bill is finally signed, then we will know. The point that I want to make is this, and that's why I brought this thing up. Where do you stand? Where do the Democrats stand? We clearly voted today for a major overhaul of the banking industry, the financial industry, and the mortgage markets, to put in place strict rules and regulations. That's where we stand, to protect consumers with the Consumer Protection Bill. Where do the Republicans stand? Well, why don't we just quote the Republican minority leader?